Forward. Before you listen further, set aside every hope you have ever entertained without a plan. They will only distract you. What follows is not encouragement. It is not philosophy. It is instruction, meant to be used, not admired. This lesson was never intended for the impatient mind. It was written for the man who has already learned that desire alone produces nothing, and that wishing without structure is merely well-dressed poverty. You may believe you know what planning is. Most men do, and most men remain where they are. True planning is not busy movement. It is ordered thought, arranged effort, and deliberate alliance with others who know where they are going. Introduction. Desire is the starting point of all achievement, but desire left alone is powerless. It must be given form. It must be directed. It must be organized, or it evaporates into regret. I have watched men burn with ambition and yet die poor because their desire ran in circles. I have watched others, less talented and less gifted, rise steadily because they learned one skill: how to translate intention into coordinated action. Organized planning is the bridge between the unseen and the visible, between what you want and what you receive. Without it, the world ignores you. With it, the world begins to cooperate. This is not a lesson you hear once. It is a discipline you return to until it reshapes the way you think, choose, and act. Each word has weight. Each principle has consequence. Listen now as you would listen to a set of instructions that could decide your financial future, because that is exactly what this is. We begin not with money, but with order. Desire is the spark of all achievement, but a spark that floats in the air, produces no heat, no light, no movement. It must be caught, directed, fed, and housed. A man may feel a great longing in his heart and yet die with that longing untouched because he never learned how to give his desire a structure. A structure holds force. A structure channels energy. A structure gives direction to impulse. Without structure, desire dissolves like mist. With structure, desire becomes a beam of power capable of bending circumstances to its will. When I speak of organized planning, most imagine a list of tasks, some hurried effort, or a collection of ideas placed in a notebook. That is not planning. Planning is the process by which desire is transformed into a blueprint, a deliberate arrangement of thought, purpose, alliance, and action. The average man desires much, dreams much, hopes much, but arranges nothing. His desires scatter like leaves in a storm. The man who rises does something different. He gathers every loose longing, every unfocused hope, and shapes them into a single definite aim. Only a unified desire can move the world. Desire must be chosen. This is the first law. A man with many desires has none, for he has given his mind no single target upon which to focus its powers. The subconscious obeys specificity, not abundance. Carnegie understood this law. He had many interests, but he selected one ambition to which all others would bend: to master the production of steel. That single selection shaped every decision he made for decades. Desire becomes a beam of power only when narrowed. Once a definite desire is chosen, the next step is to give it outline. A desire without outline is like a shadow. It hints at form but lacks substance. The mind cannot build a shadow. It must be given lines, borders, and direction. This outline is the first sketch of your plan. It does not require detail at the start, but it does require clarity. What exactly do you intend to achieve? When shall it be achieved? What must you give to gain it? What must you abandon? What must you become? Barnes carried the outline of his desire in his mind the moment he set foot on the train that brought him to Edison. His desire was not vague. He did not wish for an opportunity. He desired partnership. That outline shaped his tone, his bearing, his courage. Because he carried a definite sketch in his mind, the subconscious began rearranging his conduct to suit it. You must give your desire lines so that your mind may begin building the beams. A desire with outline must next be given structure. Structure is the arrangement of parts, each part serving the aim. This is where planning begins in earnest. Planning requires that you examine every requirement of your desire and assign actionable steps to each requirement. Do not attempt the entire path at once. Break the path into beams, each beam a necessary undertaking that supports the whole. Edison described ideas as seeds that required cultivation. Planning is cultivation. You take your desire and expose it to the discipline of reason. You examine the soil, the climate, the roots, the tools required. You do not hope for growth, you prepare for it. The man who prepares with care invites success. The man who hopes without preparation invites disappointment. The next stage in structuring desire is the selection of a governing intention. This is the ruling phrase or thought that sits at the center of your plan, the compass needle that keeps you oriented when the path becomes unclear. A governing intention might be, I shall secure a position in this industry within 1 year, or I shall increase my earning power to a definite figure by mastering a specific skill. Whatever it is, it must be singular. When doubt arises, you return to the governing intention. Carnegie's governing intention was always expansion. Every step he took that seemed bold or even reckless was guided by that intention. He replaced fear with calculation, calculation with decision, and decision with action. This is the mark of a structured desire. It gathers all thought and action into alignment. Let us now consider the law of selective desire. This law states that the mind will not bring forth its full strength until the man has dismissed competing desires. If you attempt to hold multiple major aims at once, the subconscious splits its efforts and weakens its power. When Ford set his mind upon producing the ideal motor car, he dismissed other ambitions. His attention, energy, time, and will were unified. That unity made his success inevitable. This does not mean you cannot accomplish many things in life. It means you cannot accomplish many things at the same time. A man who pursues one great aim with discipline will achieve more than a man who pursues teen with excitement. Now we turn to the design of the plan. This is the stage where your outline becomes architecture. You must examine your desire from every angle and arrange the sequence of actions required to achieve it. This sequence is not arbitrary. It must follow reason. Some steps must precede others. Some steps require months of preparation. Others must be repeated daily. Think of this plan as a scaffold around a great construction. Each beam supports another. Each part holds weight. If one beam is weak, the scaffold shakes. If several are weak, the structure collapses. The plan must be strong enough to support your desire. Ford used this principle with remarkable precision. When he attempted to build the 8-cylinder motor, he created a scaffold of experiments, partnerships, revisions, and persistent attempts. Engineers told him the design was impossible. He told them to continue. He could insist upon this only because he had a plan that supported his desire like a scaffold holding a great stone. We must now speak of organized thought, for planning is impossible without it. Organized thought is thought arranged with purpose. It follows sequence. It resists confusion. It answers directly when questioned. It remains loyal to the governing intention. The average man allows his thought to wander freely without structure. This wandering produces vague plans, vague desires, and vague results. You must train your mind to think in lines, not circles. When faced with a problem, do not allow your thought to drift. Ask, what is the first step? What is the second? What is the third? This method of sequential thought becomes the root of your planning ability. All builders think in sequence. Affirm often, my thought obeys order, my desire obeys design. This affirmation reinforces the structure you are building internally. Another part of giving desire structure is identifying resources. Not merely money, but knowledge, alliances, skills, and experience. A plan without resources is a draft without foundation. You must determine what you possess and what you lack. Then determine how to acquire what you lack. Carnegie rose because he surrounded himself with men whose knowledge exceeded his own. He did not fear their intelligence, he harnessed it. He turned his lack of knowledge into strength by forming alliances. This is organized planning. A lone man may dream. A man with a team may build. This leads us to the master alliance, which I will name here the working circle. This circle is composed of individuals whose experience, temperament, and insight strengthen your plan. They must respect your governing intention. They must share your seriousness. They must be capable in their own fields. When these minds unite, your plan becomes stronger than any one of you. But the selection of this circle requires discernment. Not every friend is a builder. Not every colleague is a source of strength. Choose men whose counsel is sober, whose work is consistent, whose bearing is steady, and whose loyalty is proven. A plan supported by weak men is a weak plan. A plan supported by strong men becomes a force of nature. The next stage of planning is the ordering of time. Time is the raw material from which your plan is built. The average man uses time carelessly, believing he has much to spare. The builder uses time deliberately, for he knows that every wasted hour is a stolen brick from the structure of his desire. In planning, you must determine how much time each task requires and assign those hours with precision. Do not guess, do not hope. Determine, write it, speak it, follow it. A plan without ordered time is a plan without breath. You must also create a daily method of work, which I call the rhythm of construction. This rhythm is a pattern of actions repeated until they become habitual. It prevents drift, weakens doubt, and strengthens identity. Rhythm is the quiet engine behind all achievement. Edison possessed extraordinary rhythm. He worked in cycles of intense focus followed by reflection. This rhythm allowed him to perform thousands of experiments without losing direction. Rhythm sustains the builder when enthusiasm fades. Another essential part of planning is the estimation of obstacles. Most men fear obstacles, so they avoid thinking about them. But the wise man anticipates them. He examines the possible difficulties of his plan and prepares for them. This preparation removes fear. It gives courage. It shortens the time between attempt and adjustment. Ford anticipated criticism, financial resistance, technological failure, and competition. Each anticipated obstacle was met with a prepared response. This is why he advanced while others abandoned hope. You must also account for revision. A plan is not a stone. It is a living design. It must be updated as you grow in knowledge. You may discover new methods, new alliances, new opportunities. A rigid plan collapses. A living plan adapts. Barnes did not achieve partnership with Edison in the manner he first imagined. His plan evolved. He began with simple duties, learned the business, improved his position, and rose steadily. He did not abandon his desire. He revised his path. Revision is not weakness. It is intelligence. Another aspect of structuring desire is the measurement of progress. What is measured strengthens. What is unmeasured weakens. Establish criteria by which you will judge your advancement. Review these measurements weekly. Adjust if necessary. Celebrate small victories quietly. Each victory is a beam placed in the structure. Let us now consider the law of ordered emotion. Desire is emotional energy, but if emotion is not governed, it becomes destructive. Emotion must serve your plan, not disrupt it. When emotion runs high, return to your outline. When emotion runs low, return to your governing intention. Let the plan, not emotion, dictate your direction. Woolworth built his empire not through bursts of excitement, but through even, steady persistence. His emotion served his plan. His plan did not serve his emotion. The next stage of planning is the projection of cost. Every desire has a price, not merely financial, but mental, emotional, and personal. You must determine what you are willing to pay. Time, comfort, prestige, sleep, pride. A man who refuses to pay the cost of his desire does not deserve the desire. Carnegie paid his cost by assuming tremendous responsibility. Edison paid his cost through relentless experimentation. Ford paid his cost through tenacity in the face of ridicule. You too must pay. Now we come to the law of initial force. Every structure requires a great exertion at the beginning. Like a locomotive starting its motion, the first efforts demand enormous strength. This is where most men fail. They expect early ease, but once movement begins, it carries itself. Planning must account for this early difficulty. You must plan for the first weeks to be the hardest. If they are not, your aim is too small. If they are, proceed. Another principle is the division of labor. You must determine which tasks you can do alone and which require assistance. Do not attempt tasks that others can perform better. Delegate where wise. Concentrate your singular abilities where they matter most. This is how Carnegie built his empire, through intelligent delegation. He did not attempt mastery of every element. He mastered the direction and allowed specialists to provide strength. Finally, planning must include a vision of attainment. You must see your desire as already built in the unseen realm. The subconscious works powerfully with images. If you picture your success with clarity, conviction, and repetition, the subconscious begins aligning circumstances, opportunities, ideas, and alliances to bring it forth. This vision is the crown of your plan. Without vision, your plan has no spirit. With vision, your plan becomes a living force. Say often, "What I design, I build. What I build, I attain." Now that your desire has been shaped into outline and architecture, you must learn the second great law of organized planning, the law of machinery. A plan is not a statement of hope, nor a page of intentions. It is a system, a living mechanism, a deliberate arrangement of forces that turns invisible desire into visible result. If desire is the blueprint, planning is the machinery that brings movement into the stillness of ideas. Most men claim to have plans, yet they possess nothing more than loose wishes written without discipline. A true plan contains parts that fit together as wheels fit within a great engine. Each part must support the others. Each movement must serve the governing intention. A plan cannot stand if any single part is weak. It collapses under its own weight. A sound plan, however, moves forward with the inevitability of a river. It gains force. It gains momentum. It becomes too strong to be halted by obstacles that ruin lesser men. A plan becomes machinery when it contains sequence. Sequence is the order of action, the exact steps through which your desire must pass before it becomes money. There is no mystery in this. Every achievement has a sequence. The farmer prepares the soil before planting. The builder lays the foundation before raising the walls. The inventor experiments before announcing discovery. Failure occurs when men reverse the sequence or attempt to skip steps. Planning restores order. Let us begin by examining the first wheel in the machinery of organized planning, the daily duty. Daily duties are the beams upon which the future rests. A man who does not perform his daily duties with precision destroys his plan at the foundation. Success is not achieved in sudden bursts. It is built through the faithful repetition of small tasks. The man who rises is the man who honors the work that his plan demands each day, whether he feels inclined or not. Edison built his inventions not through brilliance alone, but through a machinery of habits. He would choose a single line of experimentation and pursue it without wavering. His experiments were arranged in sequence, each step recorded, each result feeding the next. This is machinery. It is steady, tireless, and obedient. Emotion cannot disturb it. Doubt cannot interrupt it. The mind that controls the machinery must remain steady. The second wheel is the alliance of minds. No plan of great magnitude can be carried out alone. A man may conceive an idea, but he cannot bring it to full expression without the cooperation of others. This is not weakness. It is law. Nature has decreed that all great structures require many hands. Those who refuse alliance condemn themselves to smallness. But alliance must be selected. You cannot invite every voice into the machinery of your plan. Only those capable of strengthening your ambition may join you. Schwab was Carnegie's most powerful ally because he brought enthusiasm sharpened into discipline. Surround yourself with men whose minds can multiply your strength. Let ordinary companions remain outside the workshop. Your plan demands minds that understand direction. The third wheel of planning is measurement. What is measured improves. What is unmeasured deteriorates. A plan must contain a method by which progress is examined regularly. A farmer checks his soil. A builder checks his beams. A general checks his troops. Yet men attempting success often fail to check their daily results. They work without measurement and then wonder why they remain where they started. Establish definite checkpoints for your plan, weekly and monthly examinations. Review what worked. Review what failed. Revise without emotion. Revision is intelligence, not defeat. Edison revised 10,000 times. Each revision strengthened the machinery. Each adjustment brought him closer to the result. The fourth wheel is adaptation. A plan is not a stone, it is a living structure. It must breathe, grow, bend, and change as new information arrives. Weak men abandon their plans when obstacles arise. Strong men rebuild their plans. Weak men allow setbacks to destroy momentum. Strong men adjust and continue. This willingness to adapt transforms a fragile plan into an unstoppable force. Ford faced countless barriers when building his first motor car. Factories resisted him. Investors doubted him. Engineers questioned his every decision. Yet he revised his plan repeatedly without surrendering his intention. This is machinery. It bends but does not break. It advances even when unseen. The fifth wheel is specialized knowledge. A plan without knowledge lacks the strength to bear weight. You must determine what knowledge your aim requires and acquire it. Do not confuse information with mastery. Knowledge must be organized, applied, and directed toward your definite aim. The man who acquires specialized knowledge gains leverage. He becomes rare. He becomes valuable. The world rewards the rare and valuable. Carnegie did not know the technical processes of steel production when he began, but he knew enough to gather those who did. His plan incorporated the knowledge of many minds into one structure. That structure produced wealth beyond measure. The sixth wheel is the division of effort. You must assign each task to the person or method best suited to accomplish it. A man who attempts to do all things weakens his power. A man who assigns duties wisely multiplies himself. Delegation is a sign of intelligence, not arrogance. Let others perform the tasks they excel in while you govern the direction. The seventh wheel is time discipline. Time is the raw material from which all plans are built. A minute wasted is a brick removed. An hour wasted is a beam broken. A day wasted is a wall collapsed. The man who does not govern his time destroys his own machinery. The man who masters time becomes unstoppable. You must therefore schedule your work with precision. Assign hours to tasks. Protect those hours fiercely. Treat them as sacred. Time is the currency of destiny. Spend it as the wealthy spend money, deliberately. The eighth wheel is the emotional bearing of the builder. Planning is not cold calculation alone. It requires emotional steadiness. A man whose mood changes daily cannot maintain machinery. Emotion must obey command. When discouragement enters, return to your outline. When doubt arises, return to your sequence. This steadiness allows the machinery to run even when you grow weary. The ninth wheel is imagination, but not the loose imagination of dreams. This is disciplined imagination, the ability to picture your plan in motion. You must see the machinery working, each part in harmony. Picture the alliances forming. Picture the opportunities aligning. Picture the tasks being completed. The subconscious responds to images. It moves your conduct toward the pictures you repeat. Edison saw light long before the world saw it. His imagination guided his machinery. Yours must guide yours. The 10th wheel is persistence. Persistence is not mere effort. It is sustained effort directed by plan. Many men work hard but accomplish nothing because they work without sequence. Their effort spills in every direction. But the man who persists within a structured plan gains compound force. His power multiplies. His daily effort becomes a river cutting through stone. Let us pause here and examine a truth seldom spoken. A plan must be stronger than your feelings. Feelings shift, plans must not. If your plan bends to the mood of the day, it will fail. If your plan dictates your mood, it will succeed. You must therefore rehearse your plan until it becomes your identity. When the plan becomes identity, desire becomes money. And now we must speak of the hidden supports of a sound plan. These supports are rarely visible, but always present in the lives of the successful. The first support is order. Your mind must be arranged. Your tasks must be arranged. Your resources must be arranged. Disorder is the enemy of achievement. Order creates stability. The second support is silence. Speak little of your plans. The world cannot strengthen what it cannot understand. Let your results speak. Silence preserves energy. The third support is loyalty to the aim. A man who shifts aims weakens his machinery. A man who remains loyal strengthens it. Loyalty is the glue that binds the structure. The fourth support is courage at the moment of opportunity. When the machinery creates an opening, you must seize it. Opportunity favors the decisive. The fifth support is faith in the unseen progress. A plan moves beneath the surface long before results appear. You must trust this hidden movement. A man who loses faith breaks the machinery. And now we turn to the special principle of planning that few understand. Your plan must instruct your subconscious. Your subconscious is the silent worker, the night laborer, the hidden builder. When given clear commands, it arranges circumstances, draws people, inspires ideas, and opens doors. But it only obeys clarity. It does not follow confusion. Write your plan, speak it aloud, picture it, review it daily. These acts impress the plan upon your subconscious. Once impressed, the subconscious cannot help but work toward its expression. Barnes impressed his desire so deeply that even men around him sensed it. His bearing changed before his circumstances changed. This is the power of subconscious instruction. A plan must also contain a method of acquisition. You must determine what service, product, or value you will provide in exchange for the money you seek. Money does not respond to desire, it responds to value. Your plan must specify the exact form of your contribution. You cannot receive without first determining what you shall give. Carnegie offered steel, Ford offered transportation, Edison offered light. You must choose your offering and refine it. And now we come to the law of compensation. This law states that no man can grow large while offering small service. If your desire is great, your service must be greater. A plan that aims for wealth must contain a method for expanding the value offered to others. Do not ask, how can I receive more? Ask, how can I become worth more? When you increase your worth, money follows. A plan must contain a financial structure, a method of saving, reinvestment, and controlled spending. The man who spends all he earns remains slave to his circumstances. The man who saves and expands his resources becomes powerful. Your plan must direct your money with the same precision that it directs your hours. The next part of the machinery is alliance revision. As you advance, some alliances will no longer serve your plan. Others will become essential. You must have the courage to release alliances that weaken you and pursue alliances that strengthen you. Loyalty to the plan must exceed loyalty to comfort. Schwab was not Carnegie's first ally. He became the essential one. Your circle will change. Allow it. Now we must examine the rhythm of execution. A plan is not executed in a frenzy. It is executed in a rhythm, steady, purposeful, unwavering. This rhythm creates stamina. Stamina creates durability. Durability creates inevitability. Discipline is the engine of the machinery. Without discipline, the wheels slip. With discipline, the wheels grip. Now let us consider how others perceive you when your plan begins to move. Their perception is important. Men are drawn to certainty. When others sense your seriousness, they offer opportunities they never entrusted to you before. Doors open because your bearing has changed. Your voice gains weight. Your requests gain respect. Your intentions gain cooperation. This is the reward of organized planning. And now the greatest truth of this part, a plan that is alive cannot fail unless the man abandons it. Failure is not the collapse of a plan. Failure is the surrender of the builder. If you refuse to surrender, the plan must eventually find expression. Say often, my plan is stronger than doubt. My plan is stronger than delay. My plan is stronger than fear. A plan, no matter how well arranged, remains powerless until the man himself becomes equal to the plan. Machinery cannot run under a timid hand. A blueprint cannot rise beneath a hesitant spirit. No structure, regardless of its design, can stand if the builder lacks the strength to complete it. Thus, we arrive at the final law of organized planning. Your plan succeeds only when you rise into the identity that can execute it. A lesser identity produces lesser results. A divided identity produces scattered results. But a disciplined identity produces wealth as steadily as the sun produces light. Most men imagine that wealth is obtained through opportunity. They believe they must wait for their chance. They sit watching the horizon, hoping for favorable winds. Yet opportunity favors only the prepared, and preparation begins with identity. Wealth does not descend upon a man because he desires it. Wealth comes to the man who has shaped himself into an instrument capable of receiving, directing, and multiplying it. If you are not yet such a man, your plan will collapse. If you become such a man, your plan must flourish. Identity is not a costume you put on. It is a structure you build from the inside outward. It is shaped by thought, reinforced by conduct, strengthened by alliances, sharpened by struggle, and solidified by repetition. A man becomes what he repeatedly proves himself to be. Thus, the identity that attracts wealth must be created deliberately. The first step in shaping this identity is bearing. Your inner posture toward your work, your days, your ambition, and your responsibilities. Bearing is more than confidence. It is the quiet, unmistakable disposition of a man who has direction. It announces itself without boasting. It does not waver in uncertainty. It remains steady in the face of difficulty. When others see a man with strong bearing, they sense gravity in him. They sense order. They sense a mind that governs itself. This gravity draws both opportunity and respect. Carnegie possessed bearing long before he possessed wealth. Others recognized leadership in him because he carried himself as one who would lead. His clothes were simple. His beginnings were humble. But he moved with the calm certainty of a man who expected advancement. His identity was ahead of his circumstances. That is the secret. Identity must precede achievement. The next step in becoming the man who turns desire into money is the mastery of self-command. It is not enough to command your plan. You must command yourself. A man who cannot govern himself cannot govern the machinery of his ambition. Desire asks for leadership. Planning asks for leadership. Wealth demands leadership. Leadership begins within. Self-command means rising when your plan requires it, not when comfort permits it. It means refusing the easy path when the difficult one is necessary. It means placing duty above mood. You must speak to yourself with authority. If your feelings resist, you must override them. If your doubts whisper, you must silence them. A man who obeys himself cannot be stopped. A man who negotiates with himself cannot succeed. Say often, I obey the man I am becoming, not the mood I am feeling. This affirmation shapes identity. The next force that strengthens identity is consistency. Consistency transforms habit into character and character into destiny. A man who is consistent in his plan becomes predictable to himself and to others. This predictability builds trust. Clients trust him, partners trust him, investors trust him. The subconscious trusts him. Wealth flows toward the consistent because consistency is the mark of reliability. Edison's consistency was legendary. While others sought inspiration, he sought rhythm. While others waited for ideal conditions, he worked regardless of conditions. His steady application of effort made invention inevitable. When asked why he continued after failure, he said, "Because I am not finished." That is identity. Failure cannot stop a man who refuses to stop. The next part of identity is clarity of purpose. A man with purpose cuts through distraction as a blade cuts through cord. He wastes neither time nor motion. He does not chase novelty. He does not wander. His attention obeys his aim. This clarity gives his presence force. It gives his decisions speed. It gives his conversations direction. Woolworth had clarity when he built his stores. He knew precisely what experience he wished to offer, what goods he wished to sell, and what price he wished the public to enjoy. His clarity of purpose drove every decision. It allowed him to reject ideas that did not serve his aim and to strengthen ideas that did. When a man knows what he wants, the world respects him. When a man does not, the world ignores him. Identity also requires economic discipline, the ability to handle money with order. Money responds to discipline. It avoids the undisciplined. Wealth cannot remain in the hands of a man who spends without thought, saves without purpose, invests without knowledge, or seeks gain without structure. Your plan must include a method for managing money once it arrives. Without such a method, money will pass through your hands as water through open fingers. Carnegie saved rigorously even when his wages were small. Ford reinvested relentlessly. Edison funded experiment after experiment with patience. These men did not gamble. They did not hope. They did not seek something for nothing. They treated money as a tool to be sharpened, directed, expanded, and respected. This discipline is essential to identity. The next component is moral strength, the force of character that allows men to trust you. Wealth does not remain with the dishonest. Alliances will not support the deceitful. Plans collapse when built upon falsehood. You may deceive the world temporarily, but you cannot deceive the subconscious. It knows your true character and will sabotage your plan if your character is weak. Lincoln's moral strength carried him through storms no ordinary man could bear. His vision did not come from ambition alone, but from a conscience aligned with purpose. Others followed him because his character demanded respect. Your wealth must rest upon character, or it will fall under its own weight. Another element of identity is independence of thought. A man must be immune to unworthy opinions. Weak minds are influenced by gossip, criticism, and fear. Strong minds evaluate information critically, adopt what is useful, and discard what is harmful. You must train yourself to think without bending to the pressure of others. Noise destroys direction. You must learn the art of inner quiet. Ford demonstrated this independence when he pursued the 8-cylinder motor despite unanimous doubt. He trusted his plan because he trusted himself. Independence of thought strengthens the machinery of ambition. Identity is also shaped by perseverance through monotony. Much of success is repetition, steady, unglamorous repetition. The average man grows bored. The disciplined man grows stronger. Each repetition sharpens skill, deepens understanding, and builds endurance. When monotony becomes mastery, success becomes automatic. Barnes swept floors, carried messages, and performed low tasks with care because he understood that identity is built in small duties. Each small act reaffirms the larger aim. Wealth arises not from large gestures, but from small acts performed with discipline. Identity must also include the courage to revise. A man who refuses to change cannot grow. A plan must be rebuilt when necessary, and so must identity. You may discover weaknesses in yourself. Do not hide them. Strengthen them. You may discover habits that obstruct your progress. Do not defend them. Replace them. Identity evolves through revision. The next force in identity is the company you keep. A man becomes like those he admires, listens to, and surrounds himself with. If you surround yourself with small thinkers, you shrink. If you surround yourself with men of purpose, you expand. Your alliances must reflect the identity you are building. Curtis built his publishing empire by associating with individuals who sharpened his judgment, expanded his perspective, and reinforced his direction. Every alliance left its mark upon him. So will yours. Another essential part of identity is readiness for opportunity. Opportunity does not knock loudly. It whispers. It appears as additional work, unusual responsibility, or unexpected invitation. Only a man whose identity is prepared recognizes it. A man who hesitates misses it. Schwab recognized opportunity when he first met Carnegie. His tone, his clarity, his enthusiasm all reflected a prepared identity. Carnegie saw in him not a clerk, but a builder. Opportunity flowed because identity called to it. Identity is also shaped by imagination aligned with discipline. Imagination alone is worthless. Discipline alone is limited. But when imagination is supported by disciplined conduct, identity becomes creative and powerful. You must picture your plan, your aim, your results, and then act steadily until they appear. Edison lived in the tension between imagination and discipline. He dreamed boldly and worked methodically. This combination gave birth to inventions that reshaped the world. Next, we turn to faith in cause. Wealth arises not from pursuit of money alone, but from pursuit of a cause that enriches others. Your plan must serve more than yourself. When your identity aligns with service, you attract alliances, cooperation, and goodwill. Money follows service. Service strengthens identity. Ford believed he was serving the common man by producing an affordable automobile. His wealth flowed from his cause. Your cause must be clear. Identity also requires steadiness under adversity. Adversity tests structure. It exposes weak beams. It strengthens strong ones. When adversity arrives, as it must, your identity must not collapse. Do not complain. Do not retreat. Examine the adversity. Learn from it. Adjust your plan. Continue. Adversity refined Carnegie. It refined Ford. It refined Edison. It will refine you. Let adversity become your instructor, not your conqueror. As identity strengthens, others begin treating you differently. They sense your seriousness. They feel the order within you. They recognize that your words carry weight. They trust you with greater responsibility. They open doors. They align with your aim. This response is not accidental. It is the natural recognition of structure. A man who is organized within becomes magnetic without. Now we arrive at the final transformation, irreversibility. Irreversibility is the state in which a man becomes incapable of returning to his former habits because his identity has outgrown them. Drift becomes unthinkable. Disorder becomes unnatural. Weakness becomes foreign. Irreversibility is reached through repeated decisions, consistent duty, mastery of time, discipline of thought, refinement of character, and loyalty to plan. When these elements become natural, the identity of the builder is complete. Say often, I become the man through whom my plan must succeed. This is the final law. Wealth does not come to a man, it comes through him. It passes through his discipline, his alliances, his character, his clarity, his persistence, his identity. Money is a tool. It flows toward order. It withdraws from disorder. It aligns with identity. There comes a moment in the building of every great structure when the architect must step back from the beams and examine the rising form before him, not to admire it, but to ask whether it can stand under the weight of its own promise. You have reached such a moment now. You have walked with me through the shaping of desire, the arrangement of thought, the construction of machinery, and the forging of identity. Yet none of this knowledge has power until the man himself becomes worthy of the structure he intends to raise. A plan, no matter how beautifully arranged, will not lift a man whose will remains untrained. Machinery cannot run under a hesitant hand. Wealth cannot gather around a nature still divided. This epilogue exists to seal you into final decision, for only final decision can turn organized planning into organized achievement. You must understand now, with seriousness unclouded by emotion, that the world will not bend simply because your desire has taken form. The world bends to the man whose discipline bends himself. It yields to the builder who refuses to retreat. It grants harvest only to the one who tills the soil, waters the field, protects the seed, and waits with unwavering patience for the moment when growth emerges. A man must not merely follow his plan, he must become inseparable from it. His habits must express it, his speech must support it, his decisions must defend it, his time must honor it, his alliances must strengthen it. A plan lives only when the builder becomes its living instrument. When this occurs, success is no longer a matter of chance, but a matter of sequence. Most men never reach this state. They mistake excitement for transformation. They believe that because their hearts burn with desire, their circumstances will rearrange themselves to accommodate that desire. They have not yet learned the oldest truth in all achievement. Desire changes nothing until the man himself changes. A plan in the hands of the undisciplined collapses. A plan in the hands of the divided drifts. A plan in the hands of the loyal becomes a force. Therefore, the first law of this final stage is loyalty. Loyalty to one aim. Loyalty to the architecture you have built. Loyalty to the man you are becoming. Loyalty must not waver, for wavering weakens the beams. Say often, I remain loyal to my aim until my aim becomes loyal to me. A man who keeps faith with his plan finds his plan keeping faith with him. A man who abandons it at the first pressure forfeits the future he might have built. A plan must be lived daily, not visited occasionally. Every great achievement is the result of steady repetition. The machinery you constructed in thought must be operated with devotion. The daily duties you outlined must be honored even when the mind resists. The alliances you formed must be nurtured. The measurements you established must be reviewed. The revisions you accepted must be applied. A plan that is ignored for even a short period begins to lose its pulse. A plan engaged daily gains strength. Carnegie examined figures, refined systems, adjusted procedures every day. Edison returned to his workshop whether he felt hopeful or discouraged. Ford inspected the details of his plants with relentless discipline. Their plans lived because they fed them daily. Nothing thrives on neglect, not even destiny. The next truth of this epilogue concerns your alliances. The mastermind is not merely a support, it is a mirror. It reflects your seriousness back to you. Men of purpose will gather only around a man whose conduct proves he is one of them. You must therefore strengthen your own character before you expect strong men to unite with you. Speak with purpose, and purposeful men hear you. Work with precision, and precise men answer you. When your identity reflects order, disciplined minds will move toward you as naturally as iron moves toward the magnet. Wealth does not gather around confusion. It gathers around purpose. The next law is the law of order preceding income. Money does not come to the man whose life is disordered. It comes only after inner order has been established. Order of thought, order of time, order of effort, order of intention. If your days remain unstructured, your results will remain unreliable. If your environment remains chaotic, your mind will remain scattered. If your habits remain inconsistent, your wealth will remain unstable. A man must create inner order first. Outer order follows without struggle. Say quietly, I establish order within, and order without must follow. We now arrive at the law of final decision. Decision is the point at which desire ceases to be wish and becomes command. Decision does not tremble. Decision does not bargain. Decision does not return to former ways of thinking. Decision shapes the subconscious. It instructs the mind to move all thought, all conduct, all energy toward one aim. When a man reaches final decision, doubt loses its voice. Others may question him, but he does not question himself. Ford reached final decision long before his automobiles succeeded. Carnegie reached final decision long before wealth arrived. Edison reached final decision before the first glow of his lamp. The world did not give them certainty. Their decision gave certainty to the world. Say, my decision is final. My plan is certain. My nature is prepared. Another truth. Wealth arrives first in small forms. A man must not despise small gains. They are proof that the machinery works. A small opportunity is a seed. A minor increase in income is a signal. A new alliance is a doorway. A rising sense of confidence is a sign that identity has begun its ascent. Recognize these as early harvest. They testify that the laws are functioning. A wise man studies early results, strengthens what produced them, and expands the channels through which larger results may flow. Now consider the law of silent advancement. The great do not announce their progress. They do not waste breath explaining their intentions. They understand that noise dissipates energy. Silence concentrates it. The man who speaks too early weakens his momentum. The man who speaks only after achievement strengthens his power. Let others speak of their hopes. You must speak through your results. Say, my progress is my announcement. You must also master the endurance of monotony. The path to wealth is not lined with constant excitement. It is marked by long stretches of steady effort. It is shaped by repetition, unremarkable, quiet, predictable repetition. But repetition is the chisel that shapes genius. A man who cannot endure monotony cannot endure success. Edison endured years of it. So did Ford. So must you. Consider now the law of adversity. Adversity reveals the strength of your plan and the strength of your identity. Weak men interpret adversity as a signal to stop. Builders interpret adversity as instruction. Each difficulty shows you a part of the plan that must be fortified or a habit that must be replaced. When adversity arrives, do not retreat. Examine it. Learn from it. Refine your plan. Rise stronger. Say, adversity strengthens me because I rise through revision. You must also embrace the law of completion. A man who begins but does not finish teaches his subconscious that he is unworthy of trust. A man who completes every task he begins, no matter how small, teaches the subconscious that he is a finisher. A finisher becomes unstoppable. Completion shapes identity. Identity shapes destiny. Say, I finish what I begin, and what I finish strengthens who I am. The final transformation occurs when a man becomes unrecognizable to his former self. This does not happen in a moment. It happens through a succession of disciplined days. It happens through decisions repeated until they become character. It happens through the quiet killing of old habits and the steady birth of new ones. It happens when drift becomes impossible, when disorder becomes foreign, when weakness becomes unacceptable. When this occurs, a man enters the state of inevitability. Opportunity recognizes him. Alliances respect him. Money trusts him. Circumstances rearrange themselves around him. He becomes a builder not only in action but in nature. And nature always receives its own. Therefore, speak these final words with seriousness. I become the man through whom my plan must succeed. For wealth does not come to a man. It comes through him, through his discipline, through his clarity, through his alliances, through his identity, through his refusal to drift, through his loyalty to a single aim. Desire is the seed, planning is the soil, identity is the stalk, money is the harvest. If you cultivate the soil, strengthen the stalk, water the structure daily, and protect it from the storms of doubt, the harvest must appear, not as hope, but as law. Your work now is simple. Do not think further. Begin.